Okay, well, I want to do a video today on The Last of Us 2. Now, I've done videos on Last of Us 2 previously, and fucking a shitstorm of people came at me. And that's the reason that Last of Us 2 fans are, how do I say it? They're fucking weird. It's okay, they're weird ass people. I've played video games all my life, and I love gaming, and I respect it as a medium. But when a game is too high on itself and proclaims itself and its followers proclaim it to be the best thing ever, I typically don't like it. And I've never been one fan of the Last of Us series at all. And I think Neil Druckmann is not overly the best narrative creator there is. It's the equivalent of essentially people who, if you look at the like Oscars and you look at all the movies that always win it, it's not like Deadpool, Wolverine, or Blade, or fucking Dread. Movies that are just so near and dear to me and sweet and awesome and everybody likes. It's that artistic posturing that is like, oh, this is so great because it's so deep and it explores us so well, and it's just stupid shit that The Last of Us 2. Now, Neil Druckmann, came out and said, "Oh, there's not gonna be an else." Let's the Polygon. Oh my God, look at this shit fucking site. Talk about sad Polygon 2025. Don't bet on The Last of Us Part 3, says Cuckman. It sounds like Naughty Dog is ready to move on. So it says, speaking of ready, Last of Us 2 debuts Max showrunner Neil Druckmann is rather negative about the possibility of a third installment of the original video game. Why? If it's such a great game, you got fungal. So you're saying we won't ever have a fungal zombie game before? There was multiplayer that was well received. How about not building on that? You could have the zombies fighting humans, and you could have a game that's not Last of Us Part 3, but you could have a game where it's like one group of players play as the zombies, the fungus zombies, and one play as the humans. Why not? Or one plays as humans in the group. Make a big multiplayer game surrounding it. These people have no creativity. Neil Druckmann is not creative at all. And he's just ultimately worried that it's going to shit stain the success of the TV series. And, I have thoughts on the TV series as well, because these now two conglomeration of fans, there's the fans of the TV series, which was pretty well received on its first season, then you have the game people, and now they've mended into one kind of obnoxious group of them. Now, the season 2, I just can't get over Bella Ramsey. She's not intimidating, and that's Abby. Like, it doesn't look like Abby at all. And now it's gonna be all about this dumb woman who doesn't even look like her gaming character part. And you know why they didn't make her look like Abby? The reason they didn't make her look like Abby is because the network said, no, we don't want a buff woman. We want someone who's a little bit more grounded in reality. We don't want that controversy. So they kind of bent the knee, so to speak. And it shows. It really shows. Season 2 of Last of Us, this is running into the Walking Dead problems, where at first it was like, oh, yeah, that's pretty cool. It's not my cup of tea. Pedro Pascal, I respect him enough as an actor, but I just can't get over that Bella Ramsey. She doesn't look anything like Abby, and she looks like a pretentious weasel. And they're gonna kill Pedro Pascal off, guaranteed. Why? Because he's an expensive actor, and he's kind of done this part, and then now they'll just relegate it to Bella Ramsey and a bunch of other morons. This is what it's looking like. So, I mean, what you have to do is you have to look at it the way that, they're starting to veer in the intentions of making the show sort of better than the game in terms of commercial success and potentially in front of narratives. I mean, I love video games because it gives you the freedom to explore it. But I mean, if they're just gonna stick with the TV show, it looks like that's what they're gonna do, which isn't good for the Fallout series. You know, if they're making billions of dollars off HBO Max for this shit, video games are, maybe less, there may be less confidence in their video game making abilities over that. So let's look at this news headline because basically, he's saying, I was waiting for this question. Druckmann said, apparently, like, that otherwise where he's just gonna deny it until the day it gets announced because that's why his contractual obligations. I guess the only thing I would say is don't bet there being any more Last of Us. This could be it. I mean, it's bullshit. You know it's bullshit. Neil Druckmann is not going to say that. Either A, they don't have confidence in the it being a video game, bankable video game anymore, or B, he doesn't want to announce it to the day it's announced because you'd be like, well, there'll never be a Last of Us 3, even though we've been pushing this game so hard. And Last of Us is it's the definition to me of a franchise that is not nearly as like big as they want it to be. You know what I mean? Like they want to make it like this big thing. It's like it's an okay zombie game. The first game was, pretty neat. Let's just say I played it when it came out a lot way back in the fucking day. And it was a good game. It was serviceable. It was a nice concentrated story, and they came out with the second game, and it's like, what the fuck are you even doing? Now you got this buff chick, and you kill off Joel, and there's all these sexual relations, and it's just like, what the fuck are you people doing? And that's what these types of people get into this and they're like, oh, we're gonna make it all about this, and it's like, man, like it's nowhere near good enough to be like, it's not Oscar worthy. And Neil Druckmann's kind of one of those people, is that he kind of thinks that everything he does is gold when it's not. He thinks that he's smarter than every other game developer. He's not. He thinks that Last of Us is going to be his like bread and butter forever, which guaranteed it's not. So I mean, you gotta really wonder what the fuck's going through these people's minds. But I had leaned on the fact that he's just like contractually obligated to deny that Last of Us 3 is never coming out because they're gonna make a Last of Us 3. Like, come on, does he think we're fucking stupid? But the way he said it, the way he explained it was, in essence, it's in essence the way he explained it means that he doesn't have a lot of faith in it. So you'd think someone who's like excited about their product and proud of their product would be like, Last of Us 3, hell yeah, we're doing it. No ifs, ands, or buts. We're gonna make it awesome for our fans. One day it'll come out guaranteed. You don't have confidence in from these people in any of this shit. And it's funny too because you get things like this. Okay, so let's look at the data on this, all right? The TV show attracts, as is tradition, tons of people who would never play the video game ever. In a million years, they'll never play the video games. They don't even like video games, but they'll watch the show, and if it's a good enough zombie game, they'll go for it. So, I mean, that's what The Last of Us is. The Last of Us TV series will do good unless they really bomb it hardcore. It's like what's it called? It's like Reacher. It's just like it's an accepted piece of media now, so they're gonna keep making more. Does it look good to me? I don't like Bella Ramsey. I'm not gonna like Abby. The character that plays her does not look likable at all. I'm not gonna watch this, guaranteed. So I mean, that's the Last of Us TV series. Don't really interested in it, and it's not like the Oscar worthy thing that they want because Bella Ramsey's unlikable as fuck. Abby's unlikable plot. as fuck, and they're gonna kill off Pedro Pascal in the first couple episodes or so. Maybe they'll leave it to the end of the season, but they're just gonna kill him off and be like, "Hey, you've made our series popular enough. We can't afford you anymore. More profit." It's all about money. Come on, these people, everyone is all about fucking being obsessed over money. So you have these things. You have a show that is, popular for normies. You have a casual audience that barely has any interest in the game anymore. So let's look at this. So data doesn't lie. On Reddit, The Last of Us Reddit, in which 2.2 million people are subscribed to it. There's only 231 on it at today. Yeah, the some of the things are only getting a couple thousand likes. It's the data is. Yeah, I am unwell, Neil Druckmann. They'll never be able to. So it's this type of weirdness that is so prevalent in the Last of Us fan base. Is that they're just very, very obsessed with a game that's not overly great, and they're acting like it's the second coming of Jesus, anything The Last of Us, when Neil Druckmann himself is not passionate enough about the project to really make it anything other than just Last of Us TM trademarked. It's like what about making Last of Us like a side story where there's like an encampment and you build up the encampment? Like there's so many things they could do with it because the only thing that makes Last of Us different than millions of other zombie iterations out there is the fungus zombies. We want to see the fungus zombies. Let's learn more about them. Let's learn about how more they interact with people. And from the look of the TV series, they're just regular zombies, and they're using it as a placeholder to tell all these things. So let's also go to the Last of Us 2 remastered summary, because as you can remember, they're actually coming out with a remake of a game that's fairly new in the first place. This game isn't that old of a game, and in my opinion, definitely didn't need a remaster. It's not iconic enough. So they prettied up a few things here along the way and sold it again. So it's all coming across. The Last of Us 2 reminds me of a very scammy type situation where you're pretending something is so much better than it's not, and it's like, guys, it's just an average zombie game. Like the first game was pretty cool. It dived after that. The main character in the TV show, Bella Ramsey, very unlikable person. Abby story arc, terrible. All the weird sexual stuff that comes along with it. So, I mean, Last of Us fans fucking hate me. I've fought with so many of them. It's like all over Twitter. They fucking hated one of my videos I did on it. Fuck them. I don't give a fuck about stupid goddamn Last of Us fans. They're rabid. They know they're rabid. They're fucking weirdos. And it's all over a game that's not that great. I mean, come on. So this is for The Last of Us 2 remastered, a game that is already out and a game that didn't need to be made, and sure as shit anyone with a brain would not fucking want this. So I mean, you got this thing, Last of Us 3 not happening. Last of Us 2 gets disappointing update from the creator. Naughty Dog's critically acclaimed title Last of Us arguably is. I think Neil Druckmann is bullshitting because they're contractually on paper it's saying deny Last of Us 3 ever happening. The day they release it, it'll be a big thing. They're trying to make it all that. So I don't believe that, but you can see the way these people, wasn't this already known? Well, it had to be rumors Last of Us 3 was in the early development stage. I don't like those. I mean, on the very farthest scales, they had realized it's not as bankable as they thought from sales of this, which I don't know how anybody would spend more money on that. It's just insanity. It's a game that was already decent graphics and gameplay wise. Why remake something that's barely needs it? It's insane. This is Bloodborne. Yeah, no kidding. Bloodborne's a game that needs it 900 times more than Last of Us Part 2, yet they fucking make this shit. Um, so everything I heard about this was terrible. I was able to see if it's true or not. So what I've heard, they basically turned Ellie into Lisbon, killed Joe, and have testosterone entrenched in. Still, how long has this game been out? You still have people shitting on it. It's that thing. It kind of deserved it, anti woke. We know The Last of Us 2 is so woke. The whole story of Last of Us 2 centers around this woman who looks like a man, androgynously buff. It's so weird. And what they wanted to do is they were like, this was right at the cusp of the time this acceptance was okay. And it was like, we got to do this, like make the diversity everywhere in it. And it's just like, Last of Us came out right as the woke crazies was beginning, woke crazy era. So they just like dumped it. And Last of Us 2 could have been fucking amazing. Imagine how wicked it would start if it was Joel on this like redemption arc where he survives, and I don't know. It's not gonna happen. So it's not like the most disgusting game of all time. All of you the Last of Us fans will be very disappointed. Nah, I liked it better. It's idiots. And that's the biggest thing about A Last of Us that you'll notice between the fans is that what they do is they go between 1 and 2, and that shows the poor direction that Last of Us 2 got. Is it divided the fan base? It really did. And add Ukrainian, one of the best games ever made. Oh my god. The people who say this. Linear in nature. Cringe story elements. Dislikable main character. Standard issue zombie experience. You can just go on disrespecting old characters. It goes on and on and on. There's so many negatives against this game. Now, imagine this. Imagine the best game of all, Last of Us 2 game all the time. Instead of what they made in Last of Us Part 2, what if it was Last of Us 3? And what if it was an open world, a massive world? You could create your own survivor. You could go anywhere. You could find new types of fungal zombies. You could find groups of characters. You could form your own communities. You could build your own settlements. No, you can't. You gotta watch Neil Druckmann tell you what the fuck is cool and what is not. And you get this fucking idiot telling you that this, like, oh, don't you wanna have a lesbian relationship? I thought you wanted to get fucked in the ass in the game. And that's the retardation that we deal with when it comes to Last of Us 2. It's not a very good game. It just isn't a good game. And whether or not Neil Druckmann's bullshitting out of his fucking ass about the part 3, or he's fucking, he's literally like, oh, I made too good of a game, I'm not gonna touch it anymore, means he's a shitty creative. Because if someone made something that was gold, just make it as much as you could. You could love it forever. But these people are not creative and they're not intelligent, so they just shovel this shit in our face and expect a gold. It's like feeding someone like a turd of a fucking bullshit, literally bullshit that came out of bull's ass, giving it to you and be like, here you go, this is gold, this is the best tasting stuff ever. It's that type of shit. Us real gamers know that Last of Us isn't that great, and it's true. Don't bet on there being a look at IGN. IGN's just, give it to Neil Druckmann. Neil Druckmann says, don't bet on there being a Last of Us 3. This could be it. If you're stupid enough to think that they'll never touch on something that might make them money, they're dumb. What I think is very realistic is that they're trying to shift people away and going on like, this game, Intergalactic Prophet, I haven't even talked about. I'd like to pretend this game doesn't even exist because I'm gonna fucking rip on it so much when it comes out. But basically, this is a stupid game, and they're wanting you to focus on this. Then they're probably working on Last of Us 3 right now and this game. So they're probably gonna like come without this out and then do Last of Us 3 afterwards. That's their plan. They'll use the tech evolved in this game into that game. It's an old strategy. It's what they did with Starfield. Look what they did with Starfield. They came out with Starfield first, so if it bombed, they can make tweaks where they need to and test it out, and then come out with something that's a little bit more IP, like Elder Scrolls. That's what they're doing with this. They're testing the new tech on this game, letting Neil Druckmann fucking make bullshit and trying to make it go. So I mean, IGN, why would you even go listen to them? But if you're craving more Last of Us, there's still a television series with the second airing on Max. And while Druckmann said in the interview he wasn't sure how many seasons take to wrap on the story, that sounds like and while Druckmann is saying in the interview he wasn't sure how many seasons, they might have a few reservations on how the show is doing, because although on paper they were probably like, oh, the first season did good, maybe with some of the sales with The Last of Us 2 remastered that they've seen coming in has been a little low, so they're like, is it a good IP? We have to know. That's looking for 4 total seasons. Oh, we'll see if it makes it there. I certainly won't care. And Neil Druckmann basically, he's gotten his gold ticket into the gaming industry, so he'll be making bullshit for a long time. And that element of what is it, Sony Entertainment or whatever, didn't really produce very many good games in the first place. When you make these really like deep philosophical games with like modern wokeness, like they're never good results. So I mean, it's not like if he works on Last of Us 3, or if he fucking works on Heretic Prophet, or if he works on another game, like it's not gonna be good because he has a track record of making shitty modern games. And it it just yeah, it's one of those things where Last of Us fans are weird. Last of Us is weird, and they're not very great IPs. It's exactly like Horizon, not very good. Trying to make it a thing, had decent successes in some areas. They're just it's normie crap. There's so many better zombie games than The Last of Us, and there's so many better games in general than The Last of Us. So why Neil Druckmann acts like this is he's fucking Jesus is anyone's guess. But yeah, that's my thoughts. They're not. It's not like there's not going to be a Last of Us 3. If you think there's not going to make another one, you're an idiot. They're going to make a Last of Us 3, but they're going to do it at a time when it seems right. And right now, if they came out with Last of Us 3 and released it in sometime in the next little bit, that's going to hurt Heretic Prophet, because they'll be like, well, do we play this Neil Druckmann game or do we play that Neil Druckmann game? Well, what Neil Druckmann game do we fucking play? So, I mean, yeah, it's more bullshit from the king of bullshitters, and it's just gonna get worse for Neil Druckmann. Trust me. He does not have a good thing on his hands with this heretic, the disciples prophet, or whatever the fuck it's called. It's gonna get blasted by everyone because the main character is so unbelievably unlikable. You gotta just wonder with these fucks. Let's watch this. This was the most ridiculous trailer I've ever seen for a video game. I've never found a character that I've disliked, and many people the same with me, as much as this bitch or whatever. Like, it just like, why would you make that your main character? And it's like, make him anything else. Truly, because like that's not a good look for a video game, any of this. So yeah, Neil Druckmann's fucking off his rocker, and it's his gaming days are gonna start to be really stained here once that game and Last of Us 3 comes out. Trust me. his reputation is out the window with all this fucking garble. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and peace.